Alright, before we get this video started, I just want to let everybody know that I'm just a regular guy. But seriously, I won't be using that as an excuse for this video. This video is to address some allegations that have been brought up against me, and I will also be using this time to take accountability. I'm taking accountability to set an example because my whole entire goal in all of this has been for transparency. Hey, remember you talked to a 14-year-old on May 6, 2020, got caught and paid the user to delete the tweet? This never happened. There is no evidence of anything happening around this time or anything regarding allegations as serious as this. Now, people actively go on campaigns to call me a pedophile. This is false. None of this is true. The second allegation I'm addressing happened on Twitter. This person alleged that I messaged them to self-harm after speaking out in support of Cory when Panda and I's initial video dropped. I do not know this person. I've never spoken to them prior to confronting them for making the fake screenshots. When I challenged them publicly about this, they deleted the comments and their post. If this is real, call the police, take me to court, where they will be forced to check my account and see that those messages do not exist. And in hindsight, they'll know you're spreading defamation, which gives me grounds to sue you for attempting to dogpile and ruin my reputation. And of course, this provoked fans and creators to believe both the pedophile allegation and this one, spreading it like wildfire. This did not happen. I have never and would never reach out to somebody, message them, and tell them to harm themselves. This never happened. So the next thing that I'll be addressing are the allegations and also taking accountability for the YouTube video created by Mr. Moshi saying that I was a horrible friend. And we're gonna go piece by piece here.
Hey, what's good, everybody? My name is Mr. Moshi. Me and MavAttack, we're friends for a good 4 to 5 years. We made content together and we just in general came up in the YouTube space together.
Just like the title of the video, yes, I was a horrible friend, but I never really liked Moshi, and I should have been open and honest with him about that fact. There were numerous times where Moshi would go out of his way to instigate problems between other mutual friends, take information that was spoken to in private and spread that amongst other people, maybe not necessarily to be malicious, but to create discord amongst people. And this is one of the several reasons why I didn't like him and didn't really consider him a close friend at the time. I should have been honest with the things that I didn't like about what he was doing, saying. I harbored a lot of thoughts and feelings about Moshi, thinking that that was going to be the good thing by not speaking up and just letting things slide. It ultimately made things worse. And that's what happens when you're not transparent. You don't open up about the issues that you're having with people. And unfortunately, this is a byproduct of that. So yes, I do apologize for making you feel that way. And I understand because I felt that way too.
He wants to pretend that, oh, he cares about women and he cares about misogyny, and I'm just like, this is the same guy who stumbles into Discord drunk and tries to show you nudes of women that nobody asked for, and I'm pretty sure you didn't ask her to show me.
I'm very confused at what you mean by this, because I don't recall this ever happening.
I'm a defender of people who were abused angle that he's using, stringing that Panda chick along. I already said how I felt about her. And when the news dropped, I was sick to my stomach. And then, say, you do what you do in that situation, you believe the victim. But once you start leaving blank pages in your message for dramatic effect and bringing up his mom, I'm like, all right, yo, you can get out of here too.
The video that Moshi is referencing here is his response to the Panda Ninja allegations that came out initially. It was his reply to that, which has been either privated or deleted. But that included spewing vulgarities at Panda Ninja and overall not taking the situation seriously.
And the whole womanizing angle he was taking, like, oh, like you found him in bed with different girls.
To this point, I never stated that I found him in bed with different girls. His girlfriend came home while he had another girl in his bedroom. That's all I said.
Tell the people how you met your wife. This was back before they got married, before she was even his girlfriend. This dude, Mav, was juggling. He flirted, seduced, and was juggling a married woman with his, I guess his girl or his wife, who wasn't his wife at the time. And then when he caught, instead of taking responsibility and being like, hey, I'm a piece of shit, he banded together with his now wife to form the Legion of Doom and cyberbully this woman to the point of physical sickness. He knows who I'm talking about. I'm not going to bring up her name because she's off somewhere doing her own thing, being successful, and she probably wants no parts of this.
Okay, this portion of the video is going to be relatively lengthy. I had ended my first and last long-term relationship in 2017, and from that point forward, I was single. I was exploring connections and getting to know other people while I was single, and the woman that Moshi mentions in the video happened to be one of them. Her and I had flirted back and forth way before my wife and I were ever a thing. This became awkward when I found out that she was in a relationship, she wasn't married, She wasn't engaged, and she later confirmed this with my wife. So I didn't start seeing my wife until November of 2019, and then we finally got into a relationship on December 7th, 2019. And then I publicly posted us on Valentine's Day in February of 2020. Now, I don't understand if Moshi was trying to say that I was juggling this woman and my long-term ex-girlfriend at the time, or if I was juggling this woman and my current wife at the time. But either way, that never happened because I was single. Stating that we cyberbullied this woman into physical sickness is false. And in actuality, the woman cyberbullied my wife for the simple fact that she got in a relationship with me. This woman reached out to my wife on Instagram to have a conversation about the series of events from when she started talking to me and when my wife and I started dating. My wife was willing to hear her out and understand her until she started deleting messages that were not true. Messages such as getting in a relationship with me and even moving in with me. This woman then proceeded to showcase her guilt by messaging my wife on multiple social platforms, even emailing her, checking in on her, making sure things were okay. This woman then went on to invade our social groups, creating discord and spreading lies about my wife. My wife was antagonized, which caused her to expose this woman's affair publicly. These public posts that my wife made were taken down quickly, but they caused this woman to spiral. So from these events onward, my wife blocked her, and for some time, the woman thought that my wife was posting subliminals about her, which wasn't true. She was paranoid that my wife would expose what she had done to her, such as the harassment, the rumors amongst the community, and the cheating that she had committed to her partner. She stalked my wife throughout the years, causing her to send my wife money even though they were mutually blocked, meaning she was stalking my wife from an alt account back when Twitter would block profiles. It's important to note that they squashed the beef after the woman thought that my wife started harassing her, and it was clarified between mutual friends of theirs at the time, meaning no, there was no Legion of Doom, she was not run off the platform, and she in fact has quite a large platform now, while my wife at the time did not. No, we didn't cyberbully a woman into physical sickness. Because she couldn't be in a relationship with me, she targeted my wife. So to recap, my wife offered her compassion, and when she saw that it was weird, she laid her boundaries and cut her off. It turned into something more, and it ended when they had a mutual agreement with a mutual friend to end their beef. And that was that.
But I tell you that to show you how him and his wife get down. They're no stranger to perpetuating that same mental abuse that they talking about. So, you know what I mean, come on down from that high horse, sir.
This is alleging that we perpetuate mental abuse, which is false.
Then he wants to go on a rant about all this mental abuse he suffered from Cory. I'm like, bro, they just asked you where he was. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, man, this is like a hamster.
Now, before he compares me to a hamster, yes, I did receive a lot, an onslaught, harassment from the Cory comments for years and years and years. And if Moshi was as close to me as he claimed that he would have noticed how much this affected me mentally, how much time I had to step away, how much time I needed for myself and my mental health. Even other creators around us, other mutuals, noticed all of this happening and acknowledged it.
Mav is like a hamster. He's easily stressed, but he's also very easily excited. So I was there when he was complaining about Cory's community, but I was also there when you were happy about all the views you were getting from Cory off of the videos. I was there when you were happy that you could go get a press badge for free because your sub count went up, and I was there when you got your plaque.
That's true. He was there for those moments. And those were highlight moments, and I had worked very hard to earn those things. Now I'm stopping things right here really quick because this video was uploaded 4 weeks ago, and only a few days after it was uploaded, my wife and I went to the comment section to address everything, to speak our minds about what he spoke his mind about. Come to find out, however much time later, that our comments were hidden from the channel, so our voices were silenced for trying to speak up and defend ourselves. At least during the time of me recording this video, our comments do not exist publicly, but if I'm on the MavAttack account and I go to this video, I can still see my comments addressing the video. So they are hidden from the channel on purpose.
It was just, man, why these people keep bothering me and da-da-da-da. And to that I have to say, I'll be honest, he's right. They shouldn't have harassed him, but I'm just like, they're not harassing you now. So what are we doing right now? What's the play?
This harassment persisted for years. And then when I tried to come back to my YouTube channel and resume making videos, even though Cory and I were not associating anymore, I continued to receive comments about Cory, even after him and I were not friends anymore. So a lot of people ask questions about why did you make a video in 2023 about why you and CoryxKenshin are no longer friends anymore. And that is the reason for that. is because I was tired of hearing comments and seeing his name still after close to a decade. And now him and I are not friends anymore, and I'm still having to see his name and still having to relive all of those times where I couldn't get anything done. I had to take numerous mental breaks because anytime I would upload videos, it was constantly about another person, constantly harassing me, an onslaught of comments. Where is he? Disrespecting me, threatening me. So I believe now that the Cory comments would have persisted whether I said something about it or not. It just was not going to stop.
So really quickly, I'm going to bring up my ex-friend, D's Nut Steph, and I promise you, it will loop around back to Mav. You'll say I'm not just going off on a side tangent for no reason. So quick little backstory, and this is why I don't talk to Steph today. In 2020, he asked me to be his editor because I trusted the word of my friend very naively. Steph wakes up one day and says, you know, that equity I promised you, actually, never mind. So obviously, I said no. I handed in my last video, and I was like, you know what I'm saying, I was done with it. I cleaned my hands of it. So I'm expecting, like, you know what I'm saying, a little time to pass before he finds, like, a new editor. I'm like, who would agree to that price? It continues like clockwork. And lo and behold, who is behind the helm now? MavAttack. Now I bring this up because I'm like, yo, this jealousy shit that he has with Cory is not specific with Cory. He has it with his other friends. Before I continue, I want to add this detail. I have not, at this point, I have not talked to Mav in a year or some change, almost coming up on like a year and a half. And last time I talked to him, we didn't have an argument, a falling out, nothing. Everything was Gucci. The last time I saw him, we were good.
That's true. The last time I spoke to Moshi, we didn't have an argument. We didn't have a fallout. We just stopped speaking. I stepped away, and that was the end of that.
So I'm gonna keep it real with you. I wasn't even mad that he took the job because I'm like, I washed my hands. I was done with it. I'm not about to work for free. But at the same time, it's like that wasn't enough for him. He not only wanted my job, but he wanted to rip my foundation from under me. And again, out of nowhere, because I'm like, bro, me and you didn't have no beef. Me and Steph might be having a disagreement, but me and you didn't have any beef.
So I agreed to come on as an editor to help Steph get his videos out. And that was simply because I saw that a friend could use the assistance on his end, and I could also use the funds on my end. And that was strictly a business decision between the both of us. There were no personal thoughts in taking this editing job in regards to Moshi being the previous editor. I was not thinking about Moshi when taking this job.
But still, that didn't stop him or Steph's head mod at the time, Otia, from going on a smear campaign, telling everybody that, A, I stole from him, which anybody who does content creation and you get paid through PayPal knows it's like, unless I have information to that PayPal, I cannot steal from him. I have to get paid by him. And then just in general, telling people not to mess with me. No explanation. Yeah, I can't lie to y'all. It got bad. It got to the point where it's like mutuals that we both knew started treating me differently. You'll say I would start getting random passive aggression from people I hadn't even gotten the chance to meet yet.
So in regards to myself and Steph's head mod and manager at the time, Otia, going on a smear campaign against Moshi is completely false. And even though Otia and I do no longer speak to each other or see eye to eye on certain things, I can at least speak to Otia's character and say that Otia would never do anything like this. I know that Otia would not go out of his way to spread and smear somebody's name because of a business disagreement. That is just not in his character. And I find it interesting that you've brought up Steph and Otia and the business fallout that you guys had, when if you look up Mr. Moshi's history, this isn't the first time that he's had a business falling out with a group of people.
And then for 2 years, I stopped talking to everybody, man, because I didn't know who believed the lie, who was harboring, like, you know what I'm saying, some unjustified resentment that I couldn't see. It got to the point where I cut myself off from everybody, including people that I trusted. So
now, while there was not a smear campaign, I never ran around telling people not to talk to Moshi. That simply did not happen. I can, however, empathize with cutting people off, not knowing who to trust, not knowing who's your friend, who's going to backstab you, who's trying to benefit off of your connections or who you know. I can empathize with that and understand that 100%. And that does suck that that happened to Moshi. But as far as my side and everything, I had absolutely nothing to do with any of that.
And also, I isolated myself because in general, I had to deal with just the entire situation of having two of my closest friends do me dirty in this way. One of them clearly didn't even have a reason besides siding with the other. And why is that? Because they had something to gain from it.
There was nothing that Steph and I could allegedly come together to smear you, to gain from you. And in fact, both of our channels were significantly larger in size than yours, so what was there to gain? There was nothing to benefit off of doing a smear campaign against your name because of a business fallout with a mutual friend.
I try to reconnect with people, but even still, 2 years later, it still followed me. It was to the point where I would try to reconnect with one of my friends who was streaming, and live on stream, they would get a boss call from somebody to not mess with me.
I can't speak to this because I have no idea about anything regarding this.
So when I see you get on the internet crying mental abuse because your friend won't talk to you anymore, and his community used to ask you where he was, when it's like, I have to deal with all that happened. And on top of that, I got to deal with both Mav's people and Steph's people asking me where they are without the situation. It would be proper for me to explain to them that, hey, I don't know, and I don't care because these people are pieces of shit. And now I gotta hold that.
I have never agreed with the behavior of fans potentially reaching out and harassing someone about anyone's whereabouts. For anybody else who thinks that I agree with being harassed and asked about somebody else or myself, no, I have never agreed with that. It's ridiculous and nobody should be bothered. If this is true, Moshi shouldn't have been bothered about my whereabouts either, because I've always been extremely vocal about parasocial behavior on my channel regarding people harassing me about Cory's whereabouts. So why would I think it was okay for them to bother Moshi? And Moshi, you never reached out or addressed these concerns with me. If you need to talk about this, feel free to reach out to me because I am open to communication. With that said, I won't deny talking about this because I've experienced Cory denying to talk about speaking up for me, even though I reached out to him countless times about it. I know how it feels to know that someone could simply say something to relieve that pressure, but refuses to do so. If I ever leave this platform, do not ever ask anybody my whereabouts, and do not ever speak for me, because I and only I am responsible for myself.
So back when Mav was going on his smear campaign telling everybody not to mess with me, eventually he did make his way back around to Strix. And he told Strix, he said, hey man, Moshi's not the move right now. You shouldn't mess with him. You shouldn't hang out with him. And Strix asked him 2 simple questions. Mind you, same longevity as Cory, same trust as Cory, same amount of stuff that he confided in. They were very, very close friends. And he asked Mav 2 questions. Why? And have you talked to Moshi? And ever since that day, 5 years ago, MavAttack has not talked to Strix ever since.
So in regards to Strix, and this is even something that I mentioned in the YouTube comment section that was hidden, is that during the time that we were friends or content buddies, myself, Strix, and Steph decided to make a separate group chat that excluded Moshi because we felt that we couldn't speak honestly or reveal personal information around Moshi due to behavior that he displayed in the past. And so bringing an ultimatum to Strix to choose between myself and Moshi, it was a decision that was rooted in what was going on behind Moshi's back. And while again, I do take accountability for being a bad friend to Moshi, this is something that I couldn't sit with and have Strix continue to be a friend in my life, knowing that he could be a bad friend to Moshi as well. So yes, I cut off Strix, I cut off Moshi, and from my knowledge, Steph ended up cutting us all off, deleted his YouTube channel, and stepped away from the internet.
Even though you have that close relationship, unless you can offer Mav something, it's very easy for him to cut you off. He did it with me. I think he even did it with Steph because they started making videos for a while and then they just stopped out of nowhere. And now Steph has deleted his channel. I guess Mav wasn't cool with making under bare minimum, and that whole operation eventually shut down.
The reason Steph stepped away from the internet, deleted his channel entirely, is unknown to me. And the reason I stopped editing for Steph is because I had planned to return to the YouTube channel and couldn't take as many editing jobs as I felt were necessary to continue his quality and output for his channel.
But I'm still surprised to this day about him doing that to Strix, because you knew him before you knew all of us. You met him basically at the same time that you got cool with Cory. But like I said, the difference between Cory and Strix is what they can offer Mav, and that's all he cares about.
Again, if Strix was capable of being a bad friend to you, and then in turn choosing to continue to be your friend instead of taking accountability or simply cutting you off and distancing himself from the relationship, then yes, I couldn't continue to be friends with Strix, knowing that he was capable of doing that towards somebody that he potentially didn't like in the first place.
Even to this day, like Mav said that, oh, he stopped being friends with Cory, but it's like, no, Cory stopped responding to you. He stopped being friends with you because you're a bad friend and you treat your friends poorly when they're not looking.
This is false. Do I believe that Cory held a grudge against me, even though he accepted my apology and said we would move forward from this? Absolutely. But to notice patterns and a very close friendship of mine rot in the way that it did, I had to step away. I had to be the one to cut that off because I didn't believe that Cory was capable of taking that step forward and ending the friendship.
And because you can't mutually and consensually have a collaboration with Cory, you're going about this nasty and negative way in order to force that interaction with his community.
I do want to say that I have, since the beginning, all of this started with Panda and I's video, I have stated very clearly, very concisely what my purpose in all of this is for. And because true accountability, true responsibility has still yet to have been taken, I am continuing doing what I am doing. And I will continue to do what I am doing until true accountability is taken, and not accountability that is rooted, in my view, in fabricating text messages in order to fool and manipulate an audience of millions. That is not true accountability or honesty, and that is the reason why I'm doing all of this.
Why? My guess is because his girl does OF, and with her just having a baby, she's out of commission. So he's like, baby, even if I look crazy, I'm gonna get this bread. That's my guess. I can't really, explain to you his thought process.
So for clarification, my wife is a financial dominatrix in the kink and BDSM community. And yes, while OnlyFans is one of the platforms that she utilizes for her work, it is not the only platform that she utilizes for work. And not only was my wife not out of commission during her pregnancy, but my wife was the only reason that you guys knew in the first place that she was pregnant.
All I'm saying is, hey man, you already used up all your friends. At least stop using Cory, man, because you're still using him. Still using his community. It's just take. I think even at one point you try to ask him to be his editor, knowing he edits his own videos and he takes pride in that. I think at one point you asked to move in with him. So it's like, yeah, this obsession you have, yeah, bro, you gotta let that go.
Yes, there was a point where I offered my editing services to Cory because I felt that I could provide a service to him that could potentially allow him to not have to take as many breaks off of the platform as he was. Cory obviously denied this because he takes pride in editing videos for himself. And not only did I extend my editing services to Cory, but I was actually a manager for CoryxKenshin from March to April of 2017, where I helped Cory gain contact information for video game requests, I helped Cory get verified on certain social media channels, and I even got through the negotiations of getting the CoryxKenshin website. And lastly, I never asked to move in with Cory. And in fact, in November of 2019, Cory mentioned becoming his roommate.
Why am I walking around my den right now and something just fell in the corner? See? This is why we gotta be roommates, bro. I can't live by myself. Wait, what was that? Ah!
And then in October of 2020, Cory mentioned moving in with him.
And you can just chill out for like however long you want. You know how I am. Shoot, unless I gotta go somewhere, which I don't, shoot, you can move in, bruh.
So I never talked about moving in with Cory. Cory was always the one that wanted me to move in with him.
So yeah, guys, I've been Mr. Moshi. That was my 2 cents about this. I won't talk about this again unless he just says something egregious that I have to respond to.
Well, that was that. I feel like I covered everything in the way that I felt I needed to. Again, I don't avoid accountability. I can take it where it's necessary. I feel a lot of the information that was brought up in this video was either factually inaccurate or just wrong altogether. And the last thing I briefly want to discuss is a creator by the name of Brion. He covered Mr. Moshi's video on his channel.
If you guys don't know anything about MavAttack and his wife, MavAttack essentially just left everything that he had here and went to Canada. This is what I've been told, by the way, from somebody.
And towards the end of that video, he mentioned that I up and moved from the United States to Canada, and I'm currently living in Canada, and he got this information from a source. Well, I've only told a couple of people this information, so I know exactly who told him this information. Hello.
And since he's living there, and he most likely does not have citizenship, he cannot find a normal job. Therefore, he has to go online, onto YouTube, and try to make some money somehow. And I think he saw this opportunity and decided to pounce on it.
While I do live in Canada, the rest of this information is false, because there is such a thing as remote work, if anybody was curious. But this is not an opportunity for me to make money. I've stated what my intentions for all of this was at the very beginning, and I will continue to do that. And anything else that comes from this is residual for me pushing for accountability, responsibility, and openness on these public YouTube platforms.
And it's pretty fucking sad claiming that there are abuse victims and then he's gonna act this way and, use this whole thing for clout and money. It's disgusting, it really is. And I'm happy only a select few people, probably like 5 people, genuinely actually like this guy.
If any of my videos that are monetized offended or made the victims of these allegations feel uneasy, I would not monetize them. I have gotten permission to monetize every video that features somebody that is not myself, which means Panda has given me her permission and okay to monetize our initial video talking about the hidden life of CoryxKenshin. And in future videos where we highlight other victims' experiences with CoryxKenshin, I will make sure to reach out to them and get their okay on whether I can monetize those videos or not. Because at the end of the day, just like channels such as Brion's, I'm allowed to monetize the videos that go up on my YouTube channel. I just find it funny that everybody claims that after so long, I decided to come back to the platform because I knew I could make money. So what you're telling me is I was sitting around for 2 years, doing absolutely nothing, making no money, living off of my wife, and then I found an opportunity to where I could finally make some money, and I jumped on that after sitting around doing nothing for 2 years? This is false. That is everything I felt like I needed to cover on my end. Again, I do not shy away from taking accountability. I am not ashamed at admitting that I was a bad friend. And I understand that my lack of transparency or openness to have conversations and incite dialogue continued to make things worse for myself and potentially other people as well. I empathize with Mr. Moshi, and I'm sorry that he's had to have the experience he has. But to get on camera and to spread lies, I couldn't not make this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hearing me out. And don't worry, because I've still got plenty more for the regular guy.